My bad. My bad. My bad. My bad. It's been a long weekend. Hey, y'all. Welcome to Mental Health Monday. Welcome to Mental Health Mondays. Check in with your green heart. Let me know that you're here. I'm going to give y'all the intro song. Listen, did I tell y'all we had our own song? We have our own song for Mental Health Monday. So I'm going to let you play the beat, drop the beat while we get the room all live and ready for my guest, right? It doesn't have to be June. It doesn't have to be Father's Day to hear from fathers about what they do in their lives on a daily basis. And that's why this Monday and for the next Mental Health Monday, you're going to hear principles from dads, right? You're going to hear what these fathers do as I'll let them talk about it. I just want y'all to come in, check in with your green hearts. Let us know that you're here. Go ahead and like this live broadcast. Go ahead and share it in your group, share it on your page, share it in your text message, share wherever people are that need to have this conversation. Listen to me. If you have a son, like I do, who's going to be a father, congratulations, son. But if you have sons who are fathers, especially if they have daughters, get them on this live, right? If you have nephews who are fathers, who even desire to be fathers, get them on this live. Here's the thing, if they're black, please get them on this live, okay? I need them in this room. I need them to have their questions. I need them to have their concerns. I need them to appreciate this open space that we have for this amazing black man who is also a father to come in here and share these wisdom nuggets. Let me tell y'all something. It's gonna be fire, right? Y'all know how it is when we have guests in the light room. It's fire, right? And we don't have anybody in here who don't need to be in here. So if he's in here, he's supposed to be in here. Go ahead and share this live. I'm gonna let y'all hear the song since I finally got it to play on my iPad. But this is a song, and I do own the copyrights to this music. This song was gifted to me, but this is the Lightroom theme song, right? Let me know how y'all feel about it. But while I play this in the background, go ahead and share this live. Fill the room up. Listen, I know a lot of times men don't like to talk about their feelings. They don't want to talk about what they're experiencing. Fatherhood could be challenging. It's not like back in the day when daddy just went to work and mama was at home with the baby and daddy, it ain't like that. You got daddies at home real live with these children 24/7 doing what they do. So come on in the room, get your questions answered. In the light room, you do not have to be shy. My disclaimer before we even move any further, I am not a mental health psychiatrist or a therapist. I cannot diagnose any mental health illnesses, right? Information that you receive in the light room is for educational purposes only. You should always consult with your healthcare team about your personal health. But the information that you get in here is going to be fine and it's going to be good. It's going to be real and it's going to be relevant. That's why I need y'all to go ahead and share this live, because I need y'all to bring the questions. I need y'all to bring the energy in this room, because where else can you go, right? On a Monday at 8 p.m. to get your questions asked about fatherhood. We see the news, right? We see the news. We see what's going on. That old adage that it takes a village. It takes a village, right? It takes a village. And so we want to start back talking to that village. We want to start back opening up that village. And it's starting right here in the light room. So go ahead and share this live. I'm going to go ahead and press play so y'all can hear the song. Let me know what you think. But while I do that, share this live, all right? Get the people in here so they can hear what's going on. We're working on our mental health. Doing better for myself. Share this live. Get the people in here. You can listen. When he says something that's going to be fine, because I know he is, go ahead and react to the comment. Like it. Heart it. Care about it. Even if you get mad, right? Because sometimes that truth can make you mad. Shout out to my auntie in the building. Shout out to my daughter/sister. I'm going to get you, girl. In the building. Shout out to my cousin. Listen. Get parents. Get in the building. If you are a mother, right? Because I know historically mothers have been the ones at home with children doing all the work, this, that, and the third. But listen, we got fathers doing it now. And if you raising children, you got to work on your mental health too. So go ahead and share this live. Let's get started. Because he's already here, right? And y'all know I need people in here for him to talk to. Go ahead and fill this room up. Let's work on our mental health. We're going to eradicate the stigma. There's no need to feel shame, feel guilt, to feel anything that's going to hinder you from getting the support you need. This is free, right? This is free. Come on in the room. Work on your mental health. So we got to get this looped around because I really like the song, right? Two young sisters and brothers made this for me. Shout out to Lex and her brother. But yeah, check in. We're here. Hey, auntie. Drinking my water out my straw because it's been a long weekend as a parent, right? Here I am in recovery mode because I did my parenting thing this weekend. So shout out to Mackenzie and TJ and everybody that was part of Mallory's baby shower. But we're going to go ahead, bring it in, check in with your green heart so we'll know that you're here. This is Mental Health Mondays on Facebook Live. I am your host, Marquita Dorsey. My guest tonight is Mr. Kenneth Coleman, right? Of course, you know how we do this. I'll let you know how I met the guest, and then I'll allow the guests to introduce themselves in whatever way. Yeah, child, I'm recovering. Look. I'm recovering. Then the guests give you their introduction, let you know what they want you to know about them. And then we get into the conversation, right? And so tonight we're going to talk about principles from dads, right? Again, we don't have to wait till June when it's Father's Day. You see the news, right? I know we say, what's going on with the kids? You know, at one point, ain't no daddies in the home. Where the fathers, that's why the son's in the street. Listen, I got a father on the other. I'm about to put a father on the other side of this camera. So whatever questions you have, right? You can be a mother, you can be an auntie, you can be whatever. If you're raising your grandsons, right, and you need to hear a male perspective and you have questions, get into this live because I'm about to bring Mr. Coleman in because we're going to get started on this Mental Health Monday. Time has been far well spent, as they say in the old Baptist church. But one last time, go ahead and share this live. Get your people on here. Shout out to all the family that's in here. I appreciate you. Listen, if this is your first time, don't make it your last time. But if this is your regular routine, you know what time the light comes on in the light room. Thank you. I do not take it lightly that you show up here. And I try my best to give you the content that you need that's going to help you enhance your life. 3 goals in the light room: educate, empower, and equip. Okay, you can't feel empowered. You can't, do what you need to do if you don't have the education. And one of the best ways and the sure ways to eradicate the stigma against mental health in the Black and brown communities is to know what we're talking about, right? To know what we're talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Mr. Coleman in here. And while y'all do that, again, go ahead and share the live. And I'm going to share a fact that I found in this process that I did not know about Mr. Coleman. Like took me by surprise. I didn't know what to do with myself. But it's a cool surprise. All right.
Good evening.
Evening. It might be my volume. Again, y'all, I'm recovering, so have a little grace for me tonight. But welcome to the light room.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
I'm gonna go ahead and put my headphones in because we don't even want to wait on no problems. We don't want to anticipate no struggle here. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook myself up.
Let me know if I need to do the same.
There we go. I hear some.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Listen, that's it. There we go. Make sure I don't pull this down. I'm so tickled at that. I'm tickled each time I read it. All right, so we are live in the light room. So those of you that can hear our voices, let's do a test real quick just to make sure so that when this content starts coming through, I don't want y'all missing nothing. Again, if you're a father, single, married, whatever, widowed, the case may be, I need you in this live. If you have questions, if you are raising children, married, it doesn't matter. Like, this is for parents. One of the feedback questions that I got last year when I asked, what do y'all need from the light room? What information do you need? I had a lot of people wanting to know about this parenting thing, man, because we know what they say. It don't come with a manual. That's what people say. Now, I beg to differ. There are a few tools and resources here, but there are also people who have done this thing. Like, right? I'm a 21-year vet in this thing. You understand what I'm saying? So I've done this. I've done some parts of this thing. So we know what we're talking about. Share this live. We're gonna get started. So again, I'll let you know how I met the guest. And let me tell you, I want to say it was in Isaac Curry's group that I first saw your name. I forgot it was something about love and relationship. Something about love and relationships. I know he had that going, but I think that's the first place I saw your name in my social media space. And then I started connecting, and then I saw your posts and your communication. You had a podcast as well, right? You still have it?
Yeah, we still got it. We still dropping it.
So you have a podcast, and I stepped in on one of the podcasts and things like that. So I was like, okay, I see. Then I noticed your dad, right? Your dad. And so when this came up, I said, who can I get? Who can I get on here to talk about what we need to talk about? And here you are. So going through your pictures, because, I like to have a picture for my flyers so my people will know who in here. And I was like, hold on, it's two of them. There are two of them. I'm like, which one is you? So you have a twin.
Yeah, he doesn't look as good as me, but he come close. He close to it, but that's why I came out first. You know what I'm saying?
So he came out after you, and he probably looks like you, but you're the better looking twin.
Facts.
Okay.
He ain't got all of it. He ain't got all of it, though. You know what I'm saying?
Twin, I didn't say that. I just noticed the fact that y'all look just alike, but that's what your brother said. All right. Well, thank you, Kenneth, for being here tonight. I really look forward to our conversation and the information that we're going to share in here tonight. We're real, we're relatable, but anything that, because when it comes to children, we have to always protect our children. So if there's at any point any questions or anything that doesn't support, the safety of your baby, all of that, you have a right to say, we're going to ask this question another way, or we're going to skip that question, right? Right. Okay. So again, that's how I know Kenneth, the twin, the oldest twin, the better looking twin. Listen, brother, I didn't say that. He said that. But welcome to the light room. And I don't know what my mama been, but she here now. All right. But we look forward. They're right. She late, but she here. We look forward to this conversation. So that's how I know Kenneth. And Kenneth, I'll allow you to introduce yourself to the light room and let them know what you want them to know about you.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you for thinking of me to be on your platform. I appreciate it. I'm just a young man who is a father that is trying to be transparent about his healing process, his healing journey through various outlets. I have a podcast. It's called Let's Talk About It. You can get it on all streaming platforms. We got an episode dropping this Thursday entitled Friends. How many of us do have them? So be sure to check that out. But we just, breaking the stigma that man cannot be open, honest, and vulnerable. A lot of times that we have been taught, and we'll talk about this a little later with the parenting, but we have been taught and conditioned to give and do based on conditions or based on transactions. So I want us to get to the point where we're openly, freely being open, honest, and vulnerable about the matters of the heart, the matters of the minds, the matters of the things that we value, so we can change the narrative. Because if we're honest, one of the misconceptions is Black men don't take care of their children. This is a misconception. Because if you look at the statistics, Black men take more care of their children than any other race. But I'm gonna go ahead and let I ain't gonna step on them. I'm just gonna let you go ahead and take it where you want to go.
Listen, first of all, check out my earring. Black men are dope. Okay, Black men are dope. And this opening introduction is proof that Black men are dope, right? Black men are taking care of their children. First of all, thank you for opening up with that statistic. Another young lady had made a post earlier, and it was on her story, and so it was something that a man said that we always ask for or think about when it comes to relationship, but she was like, it's always better when a man says it. So I'm glad that you said it, right? Because they know how I feel about the Black man. I love y'all. I'm with y'all. I love y'all. I support y'all. But I am so glad that you shared that statistic, because we know in the media outsource and all the outlets and in these hard conversations, he don't do nothing for his kids. He a deadbeat, he this, that, and the third. But the statistics show Black men take care of their children.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. So, of course, in the light room, mental health is our breaking the stigma of mental health. And we know when it comes to mental health, that encompasses all parts of who you are, the way you think, the way you act, even the way that you feel, right? And so I would like to open up by asking you to share or enlighten us about your experience, if any, with struggles with mental health. And you may not have had any, and that would be great, but
I
your
wish I
thoughts or
did.
your struggles, you
I,
know.
number one, living as a Black man is tough. It's taxing.
Yeah.
You add parenting onto that, and one thing I learned about parenthood is that parenthood is parenting in different seasons. And each season that you parent in, you can't do the same thing that you did in last season. So I can't wear some of the same clothes that I did in winter in the summertime. I can't wear what I did in the summer and in the fall time without catching pneumonia or being sick or whatever. And so the challenge is, well, let me give you the backstory and then so you can have the full gist of everything. There were different seasons that I learned about fatherhood and parenting. The first season I was married. Then we had a child. Was married for 6 years, and we had two beautiful girls. And after 6 years, we just came to the conclusion that this wasn't going to work. So we started the divorce process. That was a 3-year process. So
Wow.
that's 9 years. So that's the first season of me parenting. The first season was married, two people in a household, one household. We're trying to come together to say the rules and how we're going to manage. Then the next season was the father on my own, going through a divorce, that process. And now the season that I'm in now is my healing journey, my healing process. And each one of those seasons made me uncomfortable. It made me learn some things that I didn't want to acknowledge or be honest with myself. So that's one of the first points that I had to come up with parenting and fatherhood is that you got to be honest with self so you could be honest with the folks around you.
Come
You
on.
know, social media has allowed us to lie to others and even ourselves. And I give you a story. When I was looking for a job like a couple of years ago, and when I was filling out the application, I was saying I made this amount of money. So I was lying on job applications for so long, I started believing that I was actually making that money. So when I looked at my check one day, I was like, did I get a pay decrease or
They
something?
done
Like, what
shorted
are we
me.
doing? And I'm like, no, this is what you made. And so that's what social media has done. Like we believe that lie, that falsehood that
Yeah.
we put out to be, we start believing that. And so if you can't be honest with yourself, then you can't be honest with the folks around you. And you have to be honest with self because eventually, this is what I say, we all gonna change. It's either we're gonna voluntarily change
Okay.
or circumstances, situations is gonna make you change.
That's it.
I want the
That's it.
beginning, not the latter.
That's it. I'm so glad that you opened up the way that you did in the parent space, starting with yourself, because we are our children's first teachers in more ways than one, into all the foundational thoughts, beliefs, core processes that they will have, right? And
Absolutely.
so when it comes to what the manual looks like, it starts here. I was 18 years old when I had my child. They have no clue what I was really doing. But like you said, I had to change, right? I had to change the way I thought about things. I had to change the way I did things. But you have to change and you have to grow just like the seasons change and flowers grow. So do your lives and your children's lives. And if you're not making those changes and transitions with them, what does that struggle look like? Or have you experienced that struggle yet? Where things were changing, but you hadn't made it to that place where the resistance was happening.
The resistance was me because I was fighting an internal struggle that I
Mm-hmm.
really didn't know that I was fighting. And during the season of my divorce, separation, divorce, that process is that I was a broken father trying to raise two girls. And it became so taxing on my mind and my heart, the situation that I was going through, with their mom, that I was bleeding on them and they didn't cut me. And so and this is why you have to have some people around you that, number one, that will hold you accountable. Number two, that know you inside and out, the good, bad, and everything in between. So they can know when you're off centered. They can know when something is wrong, even when you can't verbulate or articulate it. So one day I was talking to my girls and I was disciplining them. Excuse me. I was disciplining them. And my mom was like, she said, "Why are you talking to them so hard?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? This is my normal. Like, this is what I'm doing." And she was like, "Are you mad? Are you angry? Like, are you upset? Because what they just didn't warrant your reaction towards them."
Wow.
And so when she said that, number one, looking back on it now, what happens when your normal becomes unhealthy?
What happens when your normal becomes unhealthy?
That's a question that we ask in any spectrum of a relationship. And so when your normal becomes unhealthy, most of us continue to be unhealthy.
I don't see no hearts. I need to see hearts because I've already heard gems. I need to see some hearts.
So that was number one. That was the first nugget that I took. But then the second one is that, like, it made me look at myself and say, it made me look in the mirror. Because a lot of times we look out the window. We look out the window and have other people. We could tell when they hurt, when they doing this, when they wrong. But I believe that when you have people that God has really blessed you with, they will allow you to see yourself in a mirror. And the question is, what do you do with the reflection that you see? See, I had my mother that was someone who loved me and that understood me, that can say out of love, "What's wrong with you?" And and so when she said that, I was flabbergasted by it. I was so hurt that the next week I started going to counseling. Like, it wasn't it wasn't nothing said. Like, I did that, and even that happened years ago, but I still have to be conscious not to beat myself up about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm still trying to make it up to my girls because they didn't deserve it. Like, they didn't need that. So that's an internal struggle. Like, I'm struggling with myself to say, don't beat yourself up. Like, okay, that was a bad moment. That was a bad season. That was a bad day, but it's not a totality of who you are and what you're about.
Listen, y'all, that's golden. That is golden. And I too have, been a part of that process because I raised a son and I'm not a man, but I wanted to make sure that my son, because I knew one day this little boy was going to grow up to be a man, and I wanted to make sure that he was prepared and tough. And so in the earlier days, sometimes my discipline was out of fear, and fear and anger, because one, I thought things should have been a different way, and then the fear of, like, how will he turn out? Am I doing this right? Just overly doing it. But that emotional regulation and an emotional control, so that you don't end up emotionally abusing your children.
Right.
And that's what I heard, in your story. You could have been heading down the road to emotionally abusing your children. And I see that so much, not just in, the early stages of parenting. There are some adult parents who still emotionally abuse their adult children. So you having your mother, which is also golden. That's why, again, this village, you cannot do this by yourself. And so it speaks to what my father was teaching me about, again, I was an unmarried woman as a parent, but it was just me and my son. And he would always say, like, we're all in this. My father was involved in raising him, his father involved. He's like, and I try to tell my other my mothers, like, don't create that me and my kids against the world. Don't create that island. Because then it's just you and your children, because these children are developing now. Right. And to be honest, we really don't know what's all the way in there. And sometimes they grow up and you look at them like, where you come from?
Right,
Like,
right.
who are you? And so having people around, like you said, that love you and people who are healthy, because your mother had to be healthy herself in order to come into that moment and intercede for you and your daughters. So thank you, mama, for doing that for you. But thank you for sharing that. And I hope that you all were able to hear that very important thing. A lot of children are experiencing emotional abuse. Some of them don't have markings on them, on their bodies for you to say that you've been hit on. Some of it have it here and here. They don't feel like they're anybody because my mama said it, right? That's the first voice I hear. That's the most trusting voice I have. My daddy said I ain't gonna be nothing, so I'm clearly not gonna be anything. But to be an aware father and say, well, hold on, I love my daughters. They don't deserve this. Let me get me some help.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest things is that, I also had to redefine for myself what certain words meant because,
Yes.
we have been conditioned to say, if I love you, I got to be stern with you. I got to be, I got to be this with you. But when I say that I love my girls, or when I say that I love anybody, that comes with a responsibility of me being selfless to whatever I say I love.
I'm gonna throw
I
my water
cannot
at
be
you.
I
I'm
cannot
gonna throw my water
be
at you.
selfish. I cannot be selfish to anybody I say that I love, anything that I say that I love. My thought pattern is I have to put you first as a priority and I become an option.
Mm,
So
wow.
when it's reciprocated, then that other person thinks the same way. But for me, you're my priority. So I got to make sure you good, you pleased, you happy, you satisfied. And then I'm praying that you feel the same way about me or that you have value in me and you take care of me. We can never go wrong like that.
Yeah. Man, that reciprocity is so important, even in the parenting relationship. Even in
Amen.
the parenting relationship, we have to teach our children to give and receive so that they don't grow up, being selfish and
Right.
always just want to receive, always just want to receive. And so sometimes when you are an unmarried parent, and I just want to say that versus using the whole single parent thing, but when you are an unmarried parent, you, especially depending on how it happens, a lot of times you just naturally overcompensate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I want to give my children a better life. I don't want my children to struggle for this and that. But we know what the struggle did for us, right? We
Right.
know
Right.
what the discipline or, the challenge, I don't even want to say it's a struggle, but we know what the challenges did to develop us. We shouldn't take that from our children, right?
Our job is to protect them, is not to shield them from life though. It's to protect them, but it's not to shield them because there are some things that they need to learn on their own journey. What we have to do is we have to give them the knowledge, the understanding, so they can use the wisdom. The wisdom is applying what we have given them, and it's allowing their actions to move in a certain direction. There's certain things that, one of the things for me as far as being a father, I show my daughters all aspects of me. I show them the vulnerable side. I show them when I'm, crying. I'm showing them when I'm mad. I'm showing them when I'm happy, when I'm overjoyed, I show them all emotions because number one is that I have to be their first example.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Mm-hmm.
to be their first example on what to look for in a male, a friend, whatever capacity that they're going in, whatever direction they're going in. I have to be some examples so they know here's the starting point. Here's the qualifications that I have for this title and position that I'm giving you in my life.
That's it. It
So
begins at home. Begins at home.
So one of the things that I show him is, and I teach him, have empathy. Have empathy for a man when he's saying that he's tired and he can't do this because I've done I did 1,000 things before you asked me this one thing, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
tired because I'm working 2 jobs or I'm doing this, or if this didn't happen, I would be there. So sometimes I had to teach my girls like, no, Daddy, can we
Yeah.
come over today? It ain't my weekend.
Mm-hmm.
No, I need a rest. Like, and I
Yeah.
and I, I don't feel guilty about that because I do tell them, I'm like, I have to recharge. I have to re-energize. I have to replenish myself because I'm giving so much in all these different facets. And then sometimes I just can't do it, or I just choose not to do it. And if you want to look down on me because I said no, and you want to forget the 3,000 times I said yes before that, that's a decision and choice that you have to make.
That's it.
And we go from there.
That's it. Man, listen, I don't even know if everybody who's hearing what I'm hearing understands how impactful that just that whole situation is, that whole example. Because when we become adult women dealing with men in relationships, like it's still the same. You know, I know sometimes some girls will come in there and they want somebody to be just like they daddy and all of this and all that, but you know, you don't share the space. That's what I say. Share the space with these young men. Men have emotions. I have a son. So that really opened up the space for me to understand men a little better, a little more, to see things differently, and just like to really experience their human nature. And so I get it, right? I get it. Not just because I'm a nice person when it comes to men, or because, of how I write, but I actually I can see I've raised a young man. And so having that empathy, having that grace, and having that respect, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? It's just, with respect, like you said, it comes responsibility. I mean, with love, it comes responsibility and also respect.
Right.
Respect. We have to respect that that man needs rest. That man needs to rejuvenate, because, and then with parents, sharing life with your children that way, that won't allow them to go into the world thinking that everybody got to tell them yes, or every time they ask for something, they got to have it. And then when they can't get it, they get disappointed. They
Right.
get angry. They get hostile. They get aggressive. I was sitting with some teachers this weekend, and they were just talking about the behavior issues with the students that they teach, and aggression, right? Aggression was one of the main emotions or factors that they talked about. One teacher was like, the kid, if somebody bumped the kid, they want to fight. They want to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are some mothers who have reached out, some grandmothers, some aunties. Now, not even just from parents and daughters, but just from being a man,
Right.
a young man, developing from a child to a man. What kind of wisdom can you share with these young men who may be listening, and these parents, right, about how to kind of help regulate those emotions for those children?
I think one of the biggest things that we as young men struggle with is being able to express ourselves. We don't have we often we don't have a safe place where we can say what we feel, how we feel about something. I tell my girls all the time, I said, I will never take the ability for you to feel any type of way. I won't take that from you. Whatever you feel,
Mm-hmm.
tell me.
Mm-hmm.
What I will take from you, or what I will give you a consequence, is when you react off of some of those feelings. Then
Yeah.
that's when we have an issue. And so if we can create a space where young men and young adults, daughters, nieces, nephews, whoever, however you want to categorize it, being able to feel and allowing those emotions to come out in different outlets. When I was young, I was taught how to play chess, and that really regulated things in my life because it made me always think 3 moves ahead of what I'm doing right now. So you see what I'm doing right
Mm-hmm.
now, but I already got 3 or 4 moves of where I
Mm-hmm.
want you to do. And so that helped me in life to be more cognizant of how I think and feel. Because here's what I say. I tell this to people all the time. I want to give people the same smoke they give me. I want to give it to them. I ain't gonna lie. But one thing I do know is that a lot of people that give out smoke, they got asthma. So when I give you this smoke, you ain't gonna be able to handle what I give you. And so I make a conscious decision not to, for 2 reasons. Number one, I believe karma is real. So if karma is real, sometimes when karma comes back to you, it don't come on you. It come off your
Come on.
offspring.
That's it.
So
Yeah.
I would never, I'm not going to say never. I would hate to be a reason why my daughters have to endure some BS because of the actions that I did.
Wow. That
So
part.
that's number one. Number two is I got too much to lose. It's not worth it because you can't make a miserable person feel even more miserable.
They do a good job at that themselves.
It's not worth it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking I'm getting over on you, but you already in a sunken place. You just trying to get more people to have companionship with you on that level that you are. So it's not worth it. So I choose not to.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah. That's true. That's absolutely true. And we'll speak to that, like, I guess, in the co-parenting space. Um, how has that looked, or how has that progressed for you as a parent?
One of the most helpful advice somebody gave me, my godmother gave me this tidbit when she found out I was going through a divorce. She said, protect the heart. I said, I just told you what she did to me, and you telling me to protect her heart? Where they do that at? And so when she told me that, I said, okay. I didn't understand the responsibility that came with that, but I told my godmother, I said, okay, I go ahead and run with it. And so when I said that, we're just gonna be honest, but when you're trying to protect someone's heart, when they're destroying your heart, that hits on a whole different level. And so it was challenging, to say the least, to protect someone's heart. And what I mean by that is that I didn't maliciously or intentionally slander their name. I didn't say what happened. I didn't go into details. When we went into family court, when we went into child support, I was open, honest, I was vulnerable, I was forthcoming. Like, when we worked out a parenting plan, I was saying, hey, whatever. I'm during the divorce, even after the divorce, I'm checking, like, hey, you good mentally, you emotionally, you need me to keep the girls, or what's going on? Like, these are things that I was doing because I had the responsibility of protecting her heart while somebody was trying to destroy mine. And so it was challenging to co-parent with somebody like that. But my thing is, I can only handle my responsibility. I can only handle what I'm in charge with. And if people like it, if they love it, if they take advantage of it, it is what it is. And I say this and be done, but I give people permission to use me often. Why you want somebody to use you? When someone uses me, I'm giving you permission to use my patience, to use my joy, to use my happiness, to use my uplifting spirit. I'm giving you permission, but I give you the responsibility of don't misuse it, don't mishandle it, don't misguide it. And so once I give you that responsibility, and sometimes I see people can handle it, they can't handle it, then we have to move accordingly after that. But as far as co-parenting, it's a challenge, but you got to make it do what it do.
Yeah.
It's just, life is about choices.
Yeah.
Life is that's all life is. And the choice that I made, I just want to be happy. And my happiness is not going to be a burden or a hindrance to anybody else's life. I'm not going to be so self-absorbed or so selfish with my happiness that the things that I want to be happy with is going to cause harm to my parents or to my children, to my co-parenting, the person I'm co-parenting with. Like, I'm not going to do that. So that's all.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm glad you broke down that protecting her heart and what that actually looked like. And because that's the thing, when parents separate, but that whole child is still there, or those children, that's what you have to look at, right? My son's father and I, we co-parented even to this day, and our main goal has always been our son. Like, whatever our indifferences are, whatever, we've learned over the years to communicate respectfully, openly and honestly as possible, because at the end of the day, my father would always say, you never talk down or bad about that boy's daddy, because whatever you say about his daddy, you're essentially saying it about him. And so I didn't want to be a hindrance to my child or his father, So I'm glad you broke down what that actually looks like, because some people struggle in that space, right? Like you said, you're protecting their heart while they're tearing yours apart. But the bigger picture is those children that you both were a part of.
And
And sometimes you got to, take a few bullets as a parent,
and
both ways.
I'm working on a podcast about healthy co-parenting relationship. And I think one of the biggest misconceptions about co-parenting is that we focus on people who, I like how you broke it down and said unmarried, but co-parenting is for married folks too.
Mm-hmm.
It is just
Mm-hmm.
two people coming together, agreeing on how we're going to raise our children.
Mm-hmm.
That's what co-parenting is. So you can be in the same house, you cannot be in the same house. You still need to have a healthy co-parenting relationship.
That's it.
One burden or one majority of the responsibility should not fall on one parent.
Mm-hmm.
We equally should be in this thing together. Like,
Supporting the whole of the child for the best. You're
right,
absolutely right. Absolutely right. And shout out to the podcast.
let's talk about it.
When we end, I'll definitely give you space for people to connect to that podcast, because again, if you're on here, you're a parent, new parent. Listen, you don't have to do this stuff by yourself, and that's the other thing. I'm so grateful I did not have to parent by myself. I still don't parent by myself, right?
Right,
He's a young adult, and like you said, the role, like the way you do it, change and it switch. I'm coaching now.
right,
I don't
right,
have to tell him what to do. I've done that part. I'm coaching and supporting him now in his own decisions and choices for his life, because some things he's gonna have to learn, and I can't do nothing about it. I
right,
can't do nothing about it, but support him in that. So, but again, I'm glad to see, because in our culture, in our community, people think when they separate, I just seen a thing on social media. This girl starved her baby. When the baby daddy left, she literally starved her own baby to get back at him. Left the baby in her apartment complex, off it somewhere. Baby died. The baby died. Like, this is still your baby, and like, just because he's not with you in a relationship doesn't mean y'all can't come together and still raise your children or your child. So it's a very relevant conversation. I'm glad you're opening up that space, and I hope that men will also come along and share. And I know you used the phrase safe space, and I've used it before too. If you can, real quick, what does a safe space really, really look like from a man's point of view? Like, what does a safe space really look like?
One of the things that was eye-opening to me last week that I learned is that I told somebody this often. I mean, I told somebody this a couple times a couple weeks ago, but I said that I'm tired of being vulnerable. That I'm tired of being vulnerable intentionally, and I'm ready to be vulnerable in a safe space. But then God opened my eyes through a conversation that I was having with one of my guys, and he said in that moment after I got off the phone with him, he said, "You will never be safe until you're intentional."
Mm,
So let
mm,
me go ahead and break that down. If you're not intentional with articulating how you feel, when you feel, and what you feel, no environment will ever be safe for you. So intentionality will make you safe, because I can go into the most, and I don't want to I can go into an unhealthy and an unhealed situation and still feel safe when I'm intentional about what I'm doing,
mm-hmm.
because I know who to give it to, when to give it to, and how to give it to them. So my safe environment, for me, what it looks like is, number one, is that people who are intentional with trying to understand me.
Yeah.
That's number one. Number two is, or excuse me, let me say, number one is me being intentional. Me being intentional with creating the space for me. Because a lot of times we put the responsibility and burden on other people
People.
to make the circumstances and situation safe, when that's our responsibility. I can't make you. It's like me telling you to set up a man cave for me.
Right. Right.
But I ain't told you my favorite team. I ain't told you what I like. I ain't told you nothing that I want. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's not until we can do it together.
Yeah.
But I first have to put down some intentional conversation and say, the Bulls is my favorite team. Chicago is where I'm from. Or, man, I like chocolate covered pecans. Or Pepsi is my favorite. Like, I have to give you something so you can work with. That's the intentionality part.
Dads, men, black men. I didn't say it. He said it, right? The black man said it. And man, it is your responsibility. And I've come to that place. I've come to that place just recently. That place of safety. And that was the same realization. I don't care where I'm at. It's up to me to make sure that I feel safe, And then intentionality is definitely at the core of feeling safe, right? Even you being intentional about who you are around,
Right.
knowing who's in your space. A lot of times we just cast our pearls among swine. We just hang with anybody. We share our life, our mind, our bodies, our spirits with just anybody and expect them to make us feel safe. No, that's how a lot of the trauma, a lot of the, unhealthy relationship, the toxicity, the toxic love, that's how a lot of that stuff come about because we won't take the responsibility and accountability for ourselves first. I'm gonna make me feel safe first, right?
Right.
I'm gonna
Right.
protect me first. And I need you to see what I'm doing so you can come along and do the same. And if not, then I remove you from my space because I got me. All right.
The
So,
the people that we entertain will only compliment what's already there.
and that's true. That's absolutely true.
Now,
That's
every
absolutely true.
Common has a line in a song where he's talking about the light, where he says, "Some people can recognize the light but can't handle the glare."
Mm,
When you got the light, everybody is attracted to that light. But the question becomes, the people that you entertain, can they handle the glare?
hmm.
Those are the people that we need to have around us, the people that can recognize that, man, you are amazing just the way that you are, and that can handle that glare. One of the things that I learned about parenting is that, and it's important in relationships, no matter what it is that do you have these two ingredients? Do I have the ingredient to give my child what they need and want? And do I have the ability to activate their needs even when they can't articulate them?
Mm, wow.
Let me say that again. Do I have the ability to give my child what they need and what they want? And do I have the ability to activate what they need even when they can't articulate it? As a father, as a man, I am so in tune with my daughters that I hear in their tone, in their voice, when something is wrong.
Yeah.
I need my daughters to know that I have their back so much. One of my girls, oldest one, started her cycle a year ago. I'm in Walgreens. We in Walgreens, Walmart. You got your pads this month?
Yeah.
Like, what you need? What you got? Well, because I need her to know that when somebody say that they love you, number one, they ain't got no excuses.
Yeah.
So if you
Man,
say it's that time of the month and you need some Advil or whatever, you need your heating pad, like, let me go to the store because we ain't got it
come
here.
on, Dad. Come
Like,
on,
it's
Dad.
no excuses.
No excuses. Man, you're right. In our culture sometimes too, and I was having this conversation the other week with some people, just like the negative disdain that we've been taught to have towards our own bodies and the
Mm-hmm.
things that are natural to our own bodies. And I know sometimes when you have your cycle, it's thought to be like you nasty. Like, bruh, like what life comes through that cycling process,
Right,
right?
right, right.
With that cycling process, you're able to give birth to a new life. Like, ain't nothing nasty about that. And then when it comes to, you making her feel safe, because one day she's going to grow up and leave your house and she's going to be with a man. But if she's always felt uncomfortable within
Right.
herself, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not going to know how to be comfortable with her husband or with her boyfriend or whatever the case may be. So that's right, Dad. You ain't got to wear the pad. Guys, y'all ain't got to wear the pad. You just got to go get it for your
That's
baby.
all. Just put it by the door. It's by the door. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
want to
by
see
the
that
door.
money.
Like, you ain't got to get involved. Just go pick up what they need. And same thing, for the adult men who are in relationships, man. Like the folks know you ain't wearing it. Go get it. Get the gift set and put it by the door and just go on. Go
And
on.
And one of the things that I do want to piggyback one time, as far as helpful advice that we can give to our young men, is number one, I take responsibility on parents to heal. Because if we heal, we can pass that gift on to our children, to our seeds. And so if we know what healing looks like, then we know. One of the things that I had to learn when I was going through my divorce and I started my counseling session is what I needed to heal from.
Mm.
The spark plug was my divorce, but I had a whole lot of stuff that was messed up with my car that I had to get fixed before they can even get to the spark plug.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you know what you have to heal from, a lot of people pass on generational curses to their offspring because we fail to acknowledge what we have been through.
Yep.
And so I'll give a quick example so we understand this. There was a father that I was talking to one time, and he was like, man, my father, he was an absentee father. He was never around, and I'm not going to do that to my daughter. And so he's working 2 jobs, and he's in the same household with his mother, with his children, but he's never home. And I said, I mean this in all love, but I said, you just like your father. You're absentee. See, what we do as Black fathers, I'm putting the responsibility on us to say what we do. What we do is, just because we don't do the exact same options that our parents did, but we give the same feeling that they did, but we don't take acknowledgement, because I'm not doing the same thing, so I can point the finger at my father, but you're giving the same feeling. That's the repeated cycle part. If I'm continuously giving you the same feeling that my father gave me because your father did this and your great father did, like, we're just repeating that. That's the repeated cycle.
Kenneth, thank you, right? Thank you for not making this like so Pictionary. Like, listen, I don't know how much clearer it can be. That was an amazing example. Just because you're in the house does not make you present. And listen, we appreciate you being in the house, number one. But let me tell you, like he said, I didn't say it, he said it. Put the accountability and responsibility on you, man. That emotional presence is as important as that physical presence, because just like your father wasn't physically present, it still made you feel abandoned. Right. It still made you feel neglected. So imagine how your child feels. You're right there, but they can't come talk to you because either you sleep all the time, you got an attitude, you're so aggressive, you on your phone, you engage in everything but this child. So now you sitting right there in the chair, and that child still feels abandoned and feels neglected and feels empty. It's the feeling. People, the cliches are good, the taglines are good, but without fully understanding the context of what these things are. So the generational curses, that is a curse. We continue to pass down the feeling of abandonment, the feeling of loneliness, even though it doesn't look the same. My daddy wasn't in the house. I'm in the house. My daddy, wasn't in my house. I'm here. But your children can't come talk to you. Your children can't share their life with you. You don't even know what's going on with the child, and you're in the house. It's the same feeling. So thank you so much for sharing that. And so men and mothers, right? I know we have responsibilities financially. I do. But I think working on our communications, recognizing that we have some things that we need to heal so we don't continue to pass this trauma down to our children, it absolutely helps, right? It absolutely helps, because once you get your healing, once you get what you need, then you can start looking for careers that support you. You and your child's father or mother can start having proper conversation so y'all can support each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just works that way. But we got to stop passing down these feelings of abandonment, these feelings of loneliness, these feelings of invisibility, because a lot of these kids, when they come to school and they are aggressive and they are mean and they are bullying, it's because they haven't been seen at home. They just want to be seen. So that's why they so loud in the classroom. That's why they running down the hall. That's why they doing all these things, because they want to be. That's why they're on social media, put themselves out there like that, because they want to be seen. They want to be seen.
And man, I was talking to Devin this weekend, and that's something that I still struggle with, wanting to be seen. And I'm at that age now where I just don't want to be seen. I want what you see, I want you to have value in what you're seeing, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And so I think, so if I'm feeling this way, and I'm up there, got a little age on me. You can only imagine how our youth is feeling.
Yeah.
Because, and here's the kicker about our youth. Our youth have so many lenses for them to be seen. That's why they're on everything. That's why they're on every social media site, because they're trying to get seen on YouTube, on Roblox, on Twitter, on all the on things,
All of
IG. Like, they just want to be
TikTok,
seen.
everywhere.
And
Yeah.
so,
And like really risking their lives to be seen. Literally risking
and
their lives.
and what I have to teach, and I'm even teaching my daughters this, that be comfortable with who you are. Because sometimes when you give people so much power over seeing you, then you care more about their reaction to what they see, because
Mhm.
it's lacking something inside of you. And so attention is cool, attention is good, but what you gonna do when you get that attention?
That's
And
right.
what do you have to do to get that attention?
That's right. So
It ain't working.
it ain't worth it. And so parents, if you feel like you aren't seen and you feel like you were never seen, this is your call. This is your clarion call to get yourself seen. How do I do that? What do I do? Be honest. Like, I'm struggling mentally. I'm struggling emotionally. I don't even know my self-worth as a parent. It's okay to say that. Some of us are 40, close to 40, 50, and we're just getting to the place where we realize who we are, like the power that we have. So it's okay, and then you have, like my friend says, you have 20-year-olds who expect to get out of high school and have six-figure incomes, two-story mansion. Baby, you just got out of high school. Like, you literally just came outside. The pressure to perform, the pressure to have all these things. And one of the things the way I saw it with the African American, the Black and brown communities, that push to hurry up and get those children out of the house is because parents be needing that financial and emotional relief.
Right,
And
right.
so we push our children out of the houses prematurely. They're not ready to be out in this world. They're not prepared, and we haven't prepared them. You know what I'm saying? But because the parent needs the relief as well. Like, when you 18, you grown, you on your own. Like, my child ain't gonna never have to be on his own. He just not. For why? Just why? He'll never have to be on his own. But that fear and that oppression and those traumatic cycles of struggle, that's the kind of stuff you take to therapy, because that
Yep.
shouldn't be your mindset. Like, you shouldn't be ready for your child to turn 18 so they can get out of your house. No, I want to make sure that when my son or my daughter turns 18, 19, 20, that whenever they leave my nest, they can go out in the world and get what they need. And even if they're out there and they have questions, they can always call home. I just think it's one of the biggest compliments that my son, when he needs to talk, or that he feels like he can call his mama.
Right, right.
Like, I think that's one of the biggest compliments, when your children become adults and they still feel like they can call you for your wisdom and, for your guidance when they are in a place where they can make their own decisions. So, parents, get the support you need. You know, this is the first page in the manual. Get the support you need so that you can give them the support that they need.
And if I could say one more thing, because I don't know how much time we got, but I just want to get this in, is that my parents did an amazing job with, raising me. They were a great example of how to be a husband, a wife, entrepreneur, whatever. One thing that they did not give me, they gave me the example of what it looked like, but they didn't give me the example in written formula to know, okay, you're doing all of this, but what happens when this problem comes up, or what happens when this challenge comes up? And so one of the things that, number one, so they gave me the instruction manual, or they gave me instructions on what to do. But as a child, I was never seen. I felt like I was never seen because they were so busy.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that I had to learn in counseling is that I wanted to be accepted by society. But when I realized that society's definition of what a man was, or what a relationship looks like, or what parenting is, it was nothing of substance. So I was chasing after something that had nothing of substance. It wasn't until I really got comfortable into the man that God had created me to be, that I started looking and
Yeah.
feeling and stopped saying, man, well, you ain't talking about nothing, you ain't hitting on nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I'm good over here. Like, who God created me to be. And so it came with a boundary and expectations that the instruction manual that God had written for me, society couldn't even read it. It was like a
Yeah.
foreign language to them. And so there's certain things that are about me that the world don't believe, or the world says, no, a man can't be genuine. Like, a black man has to be giving you something because he's looking for something in return.
Mm-hmm.
Or a black man can't be a good father. He just putting these videos on social media just so he can get some likes, or just because he gets some attention. No, this is what we're doing.
What we doing? Man, that's what we're doing. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for sharing it. And thank you for the content that you're putting out there. Keep on putting it out there. I support you. I believe you. I believe in you, because Black men are dope. Okay.
Amen. I'm gonna
So
give me time too.
okay. Thank you again, Ken. Like, this has been golden. I don't even know any other word to say. So I thank you for your transparency, your vulnerability, and your willingness to share in this space. And then just your voice, again, just your voice. I know a lot of times mothers and women have a lot to say when it comes to parenting. We don't really know how daddies feel. Like, you have some of us, like in the latter years, my daddy began to be verbally expressive, but you have adult children who never knew how their father felt because he never said how he felt.
Right.
So it's very important to hear the Black man's voice, or to hear the man's voice, so we can, know what that actually looks like. So Sharon, thank you for sharing what a safe space looks like. Thank you for sharing where the manual is. God created us individually to be who we needed to be. That's the manual. You train the children up in the way that they should go. And you have to go to God about that. If I didn't learn anything else in this place of parenting, if you don't know God, you'll get to know him, right? If you ain't never prayed in your life, when you become a parent, baby, you will have a prayer life like no other. And then you realize, like you said, these are God's children.
Right.
These are God's children, but he's giving you, the opportunity to guide and coach them. And I don't take that lightly. And we shouldn't take that lightly. Like, it's it's a true honor to be a parent. So if you have that space, and even if you didn't give birth to the child, but if you have some type of impact in the life of a child, like guard that, because it's not something to be taken lightly. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for how you serve as a father, as a man, as a leader in our community. We absolutely appreciate that. So how can people connect to you after this?
You can go. Well, first, can I say one last thing? Is that when you so in tune with God that you understand, you appreciate and value the blessings that He given you. So when God gives you any type of blessing, because you have such an appreciation for the relationship that you have with Him, you take care of that.
Take care of
You
it.
value that.
Yep.
You don't mishandle that. You don't misuse that. You cherish that, because God's blessings don't come along like buses. God
Mm.
blessings don't come along like airplanes leaving the airport. Like, they don't come around often. So once you really get that and in tune with it, like, you take care of that. Now, how you can get into contact with me? You can look me up, Kenneth Coleman, on Facebook. Also, but my Let's Talk About It podcast is Let's Talk About It. Hashtag Let's Talk About It. You can type in Kenneth Coleman on Apple, Spotify, all the where you get your podcast. We drop in an episode this Thursday. Friends, how many of us do have them? And I am extending an open invitation for you to come on my podcast. I believe that you are amazing, you dope. I need that green light in my light on my podcast, so you know, hey, bless the folks. So I
I
appreciate you.
appreciate it. Absolutely. Well, hey, let me know. I'm here for it. Anything we can do to begin, create some generational blessings. Like, It really is as simple as us sitting down and having a discussion, being honest, being intentional, being open. That's going to save generations. That's going to save generations. So I'm here for it. Just let me know. So y'all see, he's tagged in all the posts that I've made pertaining to this. Go ahead and add him as a friend on Facebook, all your streaming podcast platforms. Let's Talk About It podcast. If you are a Black man, if you are a man, period, Black, white, Puerto Rican, or Asian, go ahead and download and follow this man, get this wisdom, and then share, right? We can all stand to learn from each other. We're supposed to do this together. We're not supposed to do this alone.
That's the only way that we can understand the opposite person, is that what are we willing to have knowledge? What intake are we willing to have knowledge on? Of the opposite sex, or your co-parenting, your friends, your like what knowledge. And I do appreciate you because I see, your vulnerability as far as when you had to take your break.
Yeah,
it's needed. We do have to take care of self first before we can pour and give and do for everybody else. So I appreciate you. I value you. I may not reach out as much as I want to, but you're on my mind and my heart to make sure that you're good and you're straight. So I definitely appreciate you.
I appreciate that, sir. It's a blessing to know. Thank you. Yeah, man, it wasn't always that easy for me to walk away and take a break. Being a mother, you want to do everything, but yes, I can't serve anybody well if I'm not well myself. So, and I'm glad, you said, like you said, this is my time, and we gotta have it. We gotta rejuvenate. Jesus went away to pray, to rejuvenate. So if he did it, we gotta do it, right?
Amen. And not
so
feel
thank
guilty
you.
about it.
And not feel guilty about it. Let me say something. When I'm going on this couch to take my nap and you can't reach me, I'll call you when I wake up or tomorrow. But I am not feeling guilty because I was asleep, because I'm going to get my sleep. Right. But again, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom. And I'm definitely going to go back and watch this again because I want to sit down and let this marinate. And I'm going to send it to my son, my cousins, my brothers, all of that, because my brothers are parents and I have some male cousins who are parents. And I just want them to be able to hear how important it is for them to be open and vulnerable and create that safe place. So thank you for the wisdom. Your voice is deeper than mine, so they might listen.
Okay.
They might listen to you over me. So thank you for sharing. Connect to Mr. Kenneth, the twin.
Amen.
On all the platforms, but thank you so much, sir.
And if they don't get nothing else, you create your own safe space. You create your own environment by being intentional. You cannot expect other people to articulate how you feel, how you think about something. Give them something to work with. Same way we got to give God something to work with. We got to get off our couch, stop being lazy, stop being this. I'm beat through. I ain't gonna be quiet because I can go home.
Listen, they done gave me this digital creator. They said I can have 3 people on here. Now listen, okay, I'm gonna put you and Dr. Dawson in here one of these days and we're gonna go at it. But again, these are the healing conversations that need to happen. So thank you, sir. Thank you for your prayers and your support. Just let me know the other way and I got you. So
appreciate you, man.
You have a good night.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Lightroom, there you have it. Man, listen, if you came in, came out, you stayed, I hope you got what you needed from here. Like some of this stuff was really golden enough for you to have a pen and paper to write this down. The manual is you, like knowing who you are is how you're going to best serve your children, and everybody in this human experience. You have to know who you are. So many of us are in an identity crisis because we think everything that needs to happen for us has to happen outside of us, but it starts here first. This is the place of charity. This is home. So know who you are, know who God has created you to be, and that way when you are raising up children, you'll be able to do just that. Give them what they need for their journey. You can't be in control of their whole life. You can't tell them who they need to be, listen, seasons change, your parenting style changes. Like you have to grow. Flowers bloom, your children bloom, you bloom. You have to grow. The more you know, the better. So create a safe space within yourself. so your children can see that and they can learn how to create a safe space within themselves, and they're not out in the world looking for everybody else to serve them because they know how to serve themselves. All right. So this has been Mental Health Monday. Thank you so much, Kenneth, for those, listen, golden nuggets. You could be a mother or a father, a grandma, auntie, or whatever. You could have got a lot from this conversation tonight. And so to the men who heard his voice, I hope you heed his wisdom. I hope you took notes, sir. You don't have to do this alone. He's Kenneth Coleman on Facebook. He's out of Tennessee. So if you're in between Mississippi and Tennessee, hit the brother up, right? You all can begin to create your own man cave village, whatever you need. You know, you don't have to be a single father. You could be in the co-parenting process, but knowing how to serve yourself will help you serve your children and your fellow co-parent well. All right. So this has been Mental Health Monday. I love y'all. It's time for me to go to bed again. I've done quite a bit of traveling over the weekend. It was for an absolute great occasion. I'm excited. So thank y'all for joining us. Still share this live, even at the end of it. You can comment. You can come back and put questions. Reach out to Kenneth or reach out to me. Follow him. Let's Talk About It podcast on all your streaming platforms. Look it up. Brothers, Black men. You don't have to be silent. And you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to struggle in your mind, in your body, in your spirit. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. You don't have to tell us, right? You don't have to come to the girls. There are guys. I just had a guy right in front of me. There are guys who are experiencing. So if you're sharing, he's sharing, hey, y'all both got something on each other, so you ain't got to feel unsafe. But this has been Mental Health Monday. I am Marquita. Thank you all. Have a good night.